a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream.
Good morning, and welcome to another show, Talk with Joan Thursdays. And it's not Joan, but
Wow. You don't say, hey?
you don't say hey. But many people, when they see me, they say, "Hi, Joan," and I just say hi. I'm not correcting anybody.
You are your mother's child.
You know, it's fine if you think I'm that old or my mother is that young.
Yes,
it's fine.
yes. The glass always half full, girl. The glass is always half full.
Awful. But thank you so much to Joan, my mom, yet again for another opportunity to be on Talk with Joan, to host it for her. And today we're jumping into another GAB Fest. And so if you were not here last week to see what a GAB Fest is, we basically coming together as women, speaking about topics that's trending at the moment, and just giving our opinion from a woman's point of view. And yeah, so last week we had Jess on the show. She was supposed to be here this week again, but unfortunately could not make it as she's not in Johannesburg at the moment. But standing in her place today is the beautiful Leandra Boyson.
Let me just do that again because the cameraman didn't catch me. Hello! Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to Talk with Joan with Evangelique.
And yeah, GAB Fest. And yet again, my always sidekick, well, we each other's sidekicks. The sidekicks make it sound like one is the superhero. My other, we Avengers.
We are superheroes.
We all have our own superpowers, but when we
Yes.
come together in one movie, we make moves.
Come on now.
Woo!
Woo, I love that.
It is I.
I love that.
Okay, so jumping right into it, right? Before we jump into it, I just wanted to say, so last week we spoke about the whole marriage thing, right?
Yes.
And most of the talk was, if it's your business, it's your business. If you decided that, you decided that. But then the wife, Pinketh, Jada, went on.
Oh no, don't tell me she.
She went on an interview,
Yeah.
and I think, okay, obviously what she did is so wrong and disrespectful to her husband. But she just confirmed that it is not because we went into this marriage in agreement, let's have an open marriage. Her words was, it's difficult to be happy in the bedroom with someone for so many years. What do you make of that? Is that not the most disrespectful thing you can say?
For me personally, being a married woman and the values we were raised with, you protect each other at all costs. And when you're in something together, you work it out with this person. You navigate it. You know, how are we going to cross this path? Because I may not be happy in a certain way, but how can we get across that so that I can be happy and you can be happy? That's what marriage is about. You know?
For me, obviously, I'm not a married person yet, so I can speak from a single point of view. But also based on that, looking from the outside, looking into marriage. My thing is this: the reason why you cannot be happy with somebody for so long is because you've already opened up and experienced everything else. So it's obvious. It's obvious that you're not going to be happy with that person. How would you know that you're not happy?
Yeah.
How would you know that you're not happy with that person if you've got nothing to compare it
But here's
to?
my thing. This man, in the beginning, he said he's doing it for her sake. This is what they agreed to and this is what she wanted. Always making her sound like putting her on a pedestal. We're in this together. It's her preferences, but I'm doing it for you. Do you not think, like, even with her table talk and the whole August thing, the way he took her aside, you could see on his face, how can you do that to somebody that's been protecting you all this time?
But I think this this for me personally shows a lot about her character and what her feelings really are about her own husband, because it was a, I don't know if it was a podcast or it spoke about him and his relationship with her, and the fact that she was with Tupac and all of that. So he had insecurities going
From the
into
beginning.
From the beginning, but he absolutely loved her. But he had insecurities about himself, and I think he has reason to, because many
What
years,
did he expect? Because he was married also.
yeah, but
That's true.
But still, many years down the
That's
line,
true.
how does one person have the ability, and you are an amazing person? The rest of the world thinks you're an amazing person.
You're
except
showing the
you.
hashtagging free will.
They need to
Except
free
you.
Will and his Wally. They need to
Oh,
free
wow.
Willie because
That from 0 to 100.
no, we real on the show, right? They need to free Willie, because if he doesn't free himself and he's accompanied person, Willie might just get into trouble, because who all is she sleeping with?
No, it's
That's
No,
a
let's
whole new
let's just
perspective
call
on
it
that.
out for what it is, right? Because a lot of the times people try to sugarcoat this thing, and they forget now all of a sudden about HIV and AIDS. They forget about STDs. They forget about all these sexually transmitted diseases because the celebrities are doing it. The celebrities do these things for publicity purposes, and then we as commoners think that that's okay and get ourselves into deep waters because they know how to play the game, and we don't. We don't have the financial muscle. We don't have the means to do that. We get ourselves into. I was telling Vanjie, I was listening to a Jordan Peterson interview that he had with this Harvard guy, and they were basically saying that the commoners want to copy celebrity lifestyles. Remember, celebrities do these things for publicity. It's for their image to
how many
constantly
times
stay alive.
we still want to know who's Becky with the good hair.
We still want to know who's Becky with the good hair. This is all, it's almost like a reality show. You think that, oh my gosh, this is real. That's their real lives. But they don't know that there's a whole production team in the background doing these things. There's a publicist and so forth.
But there's more to it as
was
well.
marriage.
Yeah, I think it is that side. I do agree with that side. However, we also have to, take into consideration that these are also people with insecurities and feelings.
Yeah, your
and
money doesn't make insecurities
things
go away.
Yes.
And they are also dealing with things. However, they deal with things publicly. Everyone gets to see whatever they choose, how they choose to deal with it.
But
And
they
think that's
show
how
the
it's supposed
parts
to
that
be.
they want the world to see, not everything.
But this is negative parts.
I don't
But
think,
it doesn't.
I don't think
It's
people want
still,
to see
but
this.
still.
I don't think we wanted everyone to
Remember,
see
guys.
this.
Controversy sells.
It does.
Controversy sells. So it's like this guy was saying that they want to be the most talked about topic at the moment because it gets their numbers. If you watch K-dramas, you will see that your search, if you did something wrong, they actually check the search engines and they see who's been trending for how long, and it affects their revenue. Now, you want to do it, you want to have an open relationship, then you have klomp loskinders, and how are you going to support those children? Those people don't end up having loskinders. They don't end up having
However, they have the revenue to support their loss.
now that's the thing. Now you try it.
Yeah.
Now you try it, and then what happens?
Who are we speaking about? I know this is off topic, but who are we speaking about? I thought he only had the 2 kids with Mariah Carey, Nick Cannon.
Oh
However,
my
he has a
god!
Because
whole
we were laughing at the
Until-
tweet where he says one thing Nick always shows up is for his baby shoots.
For real though.
Okay, let's jump into the topic, right? This is a topic I am like, what world are we living in? Okay, so there was this article I came across, right? And it basically was an article based on parents trying to sue a school for photoshopping their kids' school pictures.
Wow.
Okay, so it's called Parents Outraged Over School Picture Day Retouch Trend.
Oh, so it's a trend.
Because retouching is a trend.
Yes.
People don't look the way they look on Instagram and everything.
Yeah.
But how far are we going that your school picture
for a child,
for
minor,
a child?
a very small child. For me personally, how are you? Who are you to decide that my child is imperfect? Or
Sure.
what is the standard of imperfection for you to now retouch that picture, first of all? And that creates long-term insecurities for my child. Mommy, would you please retouch this? Mommy, this is showing them.
Yeah.
My child will never be just herself because this is the standard my kids need to live up to.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Like, for example, with the example that we do have, they took her freckles away.
Sheesh.
That is a part of you. And I know I really wish I had freckles. I love freckles so much. I do not understand how people with freckles are so insecure about their skin.
But it's because society has made it that
It's
way.
perpetuated
I
that
think
way,
it's the most beautiful thing ever. And as a child, let's say you are 4 years old, and you come home and see that your school picture no longer has freckles in it. What does this do to a child's, not only you as a mother, because Anka, you were saying now as a mother, you would think this, that. What are you doing to the child as they grow up?
For me personally, that's insecurities. You just create insecurities because you creating this picture that this child is not perfect, that they're loving. They got blemishes. There's something wrong with them because everybody else looks a certain way. There's no sense of individuality then. I mean, freckles doesn't come with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, with all these apps that we have at the moment, and sometimes we need to ask ourselves, have we ever been guilty of it? And maybe not in such an extreme case where we just want to remove our kids' blemishes, for instance. And I mean, kids have perfect skin. What are you talking about blemishes? This is freckles. But what I'm saying is that we've got these apps. And it starts off innocently, not in the sense that you want to make your child look prettier or you want your child to look nicer, but we start introducing these things, like for instance with Snapchat. You know how kids love
those
Snapchat,
little
but for
filters.
kids, the Snapchat is for the filters, it's for the funniness about it. But after a while, when they see these things, they become conditioned to it. And I think that people have become so conditioned to it already because mommy is perfect. Like for instance, let's take an influencer mom. I look at I was thinking about it this morning, and I'm sorry that I had to mention this, but I was thinking about the Kardashians, and I was like, they a perfect family with perfect kids. Everybody's like, those people know how to make good babies. But my thing is this, they Photoshop so much of their lives. How do we not know that some of those things are, even their
edited.
kids get edited or are Photoshopped? Not saying that their kids are
doubt,
imperfect.
I know people on a daily basis that if you see their post, the child's skin isn't that clear, or the child's eyes is not green, for example. But every time they post their kid, the kid has green eyes, the kid skin is perfect, certain things like that.
I personally don't agree with that.
I don't agree with it either. Not on a child.
Not on a child. Look, if you're fooling around with your own picture,
yes,
you get what I'm
you
saying?
an adult, you know what you're doing.
But what are you saying innately? What are you saying subconsciously when you do that with your child the whole time? You're taking a picture, but now the child has green eyes. You know the child doesn't have green eyes. Yes, maybe you wanted a child, but you don't have a child with green eyes, and you need to celebrate the fact, because later on when that child sees those pictures, what are the questions your child is going to ask you?
Not only that, you know what now? I take it like this. As a woman, already it is like, I was telling you, me and Kaylin were laughing about it in the week where Kaylin was like, in our complex, there's so many people that moved in that she has on Instagram.
Whoa.
And we used to, if you take the kids to the play area, you just get up and go.
Yes.
But now you put the standard on social media of what you look like. And now you have to think about that as well. So as a child also, because I mean, even coming in here, you know how I'm like, I thank God for the mask. I'm not that bad anymore. I can go anywhere without makeup, and I couldn't care less.
Couldn't say the same.
Mama took my eyebrows. We thank God for henna.
We thank God for makeup and the people who made it. Thank you.
Yes, we thank God for them. But what I'm saying is that if you've been somewhere, or even your partner, for example, they met you with a full glam face.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for you to expose who you are, because let's remember, makeup doesn't change who you are, but it does
change your appearance.
It lightens up your beauty. You still look like that.
Thank you.
Yes.
But now your eyebrows are darker.
It's enhanced. You
It's
see
enhanced.
things better. You're basically creating a more 4D effect of your face. It's in 4K HD. Let's just put it that way. Makeup makes things HD.
I'm gonna take that point of view, because I never leave the house. I'll be at home cleaning, and Xavier will come home, and I'll have a full face of makeup.
I
But you
always
go,
say,
girl.
I
You
respect
go,
Anka.
girl.
Anka, we can be somewhere at 5 o'clock in the morning. Anka will wake up to put those eyelashes
No,
on.
I respect
There's
you.
no way that man married a certain woman the day he married. Now the next day, let's just find out what fraud is this.
But I want to talk about something even deeper. So this is a white child and they remove the freckles. What about a black child that they make lighter? Or a child that has more melanin? Because there's a specific standard that even the apps set. And it's a European standard. The thin nose. We know it. The thin nose, the thinner facial
Jawline,
structure. A fairer complexion. Obviously, we remove all the blemishes. Thicker lips now. Okay, that's not very European, but you know.
But it is the trend.
But
now.
it is the trend. So now what happens in a case like that? Because remember, I always say representation is so important. When we are projecting these things on our children, and I'm talking especially children of color, the green eyes, the blue eyes, or whatever. What does our children think that
beauty.
that is
That's the
beauty
standard.
and that I'm not beautiful? That's
True,
another thing.
that is.
That's the flip side of the coin. So if we continuously support things like this, what are we telling our kids? That they're not good enough? Then they now need to go through all the
But then
work
also,
of trying to.
Remember, you were saying earlier, it becomes normal.
Yes.
But us as parents as well, we also need to realize that you say you can't walk, you can't be a crab and tell your child
To
walk
walk
straight,
straight.
but we're all walking sideways. Then I believe, I do with my pictures. I use that enhancing things, that my eyebrows go darker.
Yes.
I make my lips darker, but I don't change anything else.
But you
Yeah.
don't question, is that really you?
No,
when
but
we
what I'm
see
Yes,
you?
yes.
I'm not. That's
Yeah.
not the point. Well, the point I'm trying to make is we do certain things. I don't go as far as making anything thinner. I don't take away my pimples. I don't do things like that. But I darken my eyebrows. I darken my eyelashes because I'm insecure about those two things.
Yes.
And I make sure that if I have lipstick on, I darken it up. So that's three main things that I would do when I do post a picture. But something as small as that, it's still putting up a standard of, because the quality of the picture wasn't the kind of quality I wanted,
Yeah.
but I changed it to make it look like that quality.
But also in defense of that, cameras lie.
It does lie.
Cameras,
but we're
I
still
feel
editing.
like no, cameras lie. When I look at myself in the mirror, and then I take a selfie, I'm like, who this? Because I ain't so ugly. Nah.
Catfish out here. But back to the story of the kids being edited and all of that. For me, I am extremely paranoid, right? So pictures of my kids on social media are very limited. But now the one picture that is there and it is heavily edited with green eyes and something happens to my kid, no one will find my child.
That's true.
Like no one's going to know who's that, you know?
It's true.
Okay, that's a joke. But moving on to the next topic now. It's something a bit more serious, but in line with that. We say it lightly, it's a joke, nobody's going to find my kid. But so our topic for this week with what's trending on Twitter is the mother of the babies was told to give the babies up for adoption and that the money to deliver and everything else will be sorted. Guys, this is the hashtag Timbisa10.
Yeah.
A lot of people has forgotten about this whole story, right? So the whole story is, remember a few months ago, there was an article about a lady giving birth to 10 kids.
Yeah.
And then they said it was a lie.
Yeah.
There was
a
never
scam.
10 kids. It was a story. It was this. Turns out the story is true,
Sure.
right?
They were
It
kids.
wasn't 10 kids though, but they're not being quite
Isn't
exact with numbers.
Yeah,
But it was
they're
either 6
discreet.
or 8 kids, but they were kids, right? The mother, these are the points that came up when the points that they were targeting on Twitter, right? After yesterday's state, they said that the number one is there was babies.
Okay.
Number two is they kind of put her in a Malays.
Yeah. So a mental
A mental
hospital.
institution. They put her in a mental institution, yeah. And then convinced her to give her babies up for an adoption. So this creeped me out because everybody knows Blood and Water is trending,
Yeah.
right? If you haven't watched Blood and Water, it is basically the story. They illegally
Remove
remove the
the children.
children.
Technically traffic the child.
They traffic the child.
Yes.
But at birth, your child is missing. You crying, where's your child? Constantly. And your child is growing up with someone else because the child was taken from you from birth. And it scared me so much that as much as Blood and Water is a series,
Yeah.
and it's about a girl that starts looking for her older sister that went missing, and she finds out that her sister was through an adoption, but it was an illegal adoption, but all the paperwork was there. There was a law firm that's doing all these things. So there's a lot of speculation that the state is involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is now not the series. People is speculating
okay.
that the state is involved in this whole adoption, illegal adoption. Because how does something like this happen? Number two, people is saying, why are they taking it so far to have press releases and
Yeah.
stuff like that? I mean, there's lots of adoption stories that happen that's illegal. There's a lot of missing cases. There's a lot of all these things. People forgot about the Tembisa 10 already. People just assumed, okay, it's a lie, show us the babies, or it's not true. And then they come out with this whole release.
Sure.
What's your take on this?
Yeah, no, the thing is, kidnapping has increased exponentially in our country over these last few months. But I don't think that it's just increased. I think that now there's more, there's now press releases and there's better media coverage on it. I think it's always been going
it's always
on.
been there.
But with this specific story, the fact that why is it that they went to such lengths to make this woman seem like she's mentally unstable, to lie about it and to paint her so badly? After the pictures were there of the pregnancy, and people were also like, but this is another thing also of Twitter, because I saw how people were just like making a fool out of this story. But that's what happens. It's almost as if like we have been conditioned in such a way, because the story just disappeared and now it's back again. But it's like we've been conditioned in such a way to create hype around it and negative hype on the victim, in this case being the mother, that for the sake of a tweet and for the sake of retweets and shares and likes and all those things, that we don't see the humanity behind this and how it affects society. Because child trafficking is a big deal. It might not be from maybe directly from birth out of the hospital, but this thing is real. And the fact that people take so lightly of it, that we've already been conditioned to it for the sake of a tweet and for the sake of a reshare and for the sake of a like, that we don't actually sit and think like, but actually we saw the case was covered of this woman. It just disappears in thin air, comes back, and now the story is the children were trafficked. And then after that, look, the story probably died down already. So my issue is with the fact that we've become so detached from empathy and morality that it's just a tweet.
Yes, but then
It's
on
just
the
a
other
story.
side of it, had it not been for that, we wouldn't have known that that's what's happening. Because people made a big deal out of it. Had they not, when the story was fake,
Yes.
we wouldn't have known that the story exists.
Yeah.
So that when it happens a few months, I mean, it's been months.
Yeah.
And this comes out. People can now relate, oh, I understand. I'm not taking away what you said.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying that we need to also use social media as a platform of awareness.
Yes.
The same way all those TikToks, I don't want to mention what we watched yesterday, is using it
To create
to
awareness.
create awareness. As much as in the beginning of the story, it was so negative and the victim was the mother. But had that whole negativity not happened, I mean, that boomed for weeks. There were memes, there were retweets, there was something about it every day, that this could actually come out, that it is happening here in South Africa and with our very own people.
Yeah. My problem with that is that people make light of it. So even though they're creating awareness, they make light of the situation. It's not really for the sake of creating awareness. It's just to jump on the bandwagon so that they can also get a like, a share, retweet, and a follow.
And
What's
then
your take?
also, the thing is, it makes light of the fact of child trafficking. child trafficking is very real. I mean,
Sure.
I'm extremely paranoid. Those who know me know that I don't take my kids to the mall. I strap my kids in. I make sure the windows are always closed and all of that in my car. And I rarely travel alone with them. But when my kids were born, and Xavier was with me there most of the time, I didn't let my child out of my sight. And this is not long ago. You know, Xavier was there. He made a video of how the tag was strapped onto our babies. She was constantly there. If I was tired, I wanted to go. I only went when Xavier was there.
Yeah.
That's how extremely paranoid, because it's real. People's babies go missing or they get swapped in hospitals. So, you know, and I'm this paranoid. How is this mother feeling? That's going. How many babies did she lose? It's ambiguous in the sense that we don't know how many babies there were. There weren't 10, but I'm sure there were. Even if there was one baby, for a mother to lose their baby like that is and this is going on not where here, right here under our noses, in our hospitals, with our police justice system.
You know what upsets me even more if I read this? It says that the mother of the babies was told to give the babies for adoption, and that there's money that is involved here. So they prey on vulnerable people, because obviously this woman is not well off. It reminds me of what's that series with the red cloaks where where the women become helpers or maids in the sense. Handmaid's Tale. It reminds me of the Handmaid's Tale. It's obviously not as brutal, but this is basically what they do. So they prey on vulnerable people in the sense that this woman is not financially stable. She obviously needs the money. They promise her money. They give her this big dream of, we're going to pay you probably millions. When she heard millions, she was like, you know, she played.
But desperate people will do it for a little. But remember, they first made her seem like her brain is not in the right place. So you also don't know what kind of medication or anything they gave her to do that. But going to the point of trafficking, we are in, if you do have kids, right, we are at a place where you can't do anything with your kids. I mean, if we go to Spur, and if we're not sitting in front of the door where the play area is, we don't sit at Spur, let's go somewhere else. Because, I mean, how many stories, you know, Spur is the hot topic of trafficking or something like that. If you hear a story, it's always Spur. And my thing is, for me, honestly, I don't need it in terms of I need it to happen.
Yes.
But I need this kind of awareness, not necessarily to make a bigger difference, but for you as an individual
to be more aware.
What to look out for, I mean, there's movies that's from everywhere, you know, taken, you see that, you as an adult, you know, check this out, check that, make sure somebody knows where you are, make sure A, B, and C. But for a child that you need to think for, you need to be aware of what are people actually doing. Because back then, I can't remember what movie it was also, but it was something similar. And that's where we came with the whole thing. When you go to hospital, giving birth, husband walks with for that wash, husband goes with to get the injection, husband goes with everywhere, because obviously you as a mother can't up and down. But these kind of things make you aware what to look out for. So as much as it has a negative side, I think it is so important for us to actually know what is happening.
And I think that even you know, if you go on Facebook now, you'll see missing child alert, missing person alert. It's rife, and I think people are, I don't know if they're oblivious to it, but so many times when and remember now in Joburg in South Africa, we're going into silly season. Now's the time where everyone is running to the malls, you know, taking their kids, they're going shopping and all of that. But it's also the time with the highest amount of child trafficking.
I mean, those 4 boys that went missing, apparently they're in Joburg, so they're looking out in Gauteng. The car was last seen entering Gauteng. So you just need to be so careful.
Getting goosebumps,
goosebumps. Let's move on to the next one. Lee, if you can just read that. My eyes, does it deceive me?
Sure, it is Lauren Ridloff plays Marvel's first deaf superhero in Eternals. Look at her, look at her. She is so beautiful.
You guys know how this topic is so
Dear to your heart.
It's extremely dear to my heart, having a deaf daughter. It's just something that makes it okay. Do you know what I'm trying? I don't know how to put it in actual words. Have you watched the movie Heroes? It's on Netflix
I think I
where
watched one episode.
Priyanka Chopra is the.
Is it a movie or a series?
It's a movie.
Okay, no, then I haven't.
It's something, I think it is called Heroes,
I
but it's a
haven't
group
watched
of kids who is the superheroes kids, and they brought like into the place with the shark
Oh,
girl.
it's Lava Boy and Shark Girl.
No, it's not that. Lava Boy and Shark Girl is something different. So in Heroes, there's a girl. Her mother is Lava Girl and Shark Boy. So she is a normal girl, but she can control water. And she can make this loud sounds. And then there's another boy. He's in a wheelchair because his legs is so super strong that he needs to be in a wheelchair. And I found this fascinating because that is to some kids who are in wheelchairs. And based on that movie, Scarlett wants a wheelchair.
Wow.
She does not understand what the wheelchair is for.
Yes.
But it opened up her mind in terms of, I think this is cool. The same with her cochleas. She thinks it's something cool as much as she doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Because she thought when she turns 5, her cochleas can come off because then she can hear and then she can finally get earrings.
Wow.
That's her thing. She wants her cochleas off so that she can wear earrings.
Okay.
So for me, it was something like so many people look at a wheelchair as it's a disadvantage.
Yes.
But here's a little girl with the other disadvantage, which is cochleas. And she's dreaming about this wheelchair.
Wow.
So every time we see someone with a wheelchair, she takes it back to the movie Heroes. Then
Must
she'll
be a
say,
hero.
I also want a wheelchair.
Okay.
Kind of a thing.
Yes.
So that's why this is so dear to my heart.
Yes.
It's a deaf superhero. Now somebody can also look at Scarlett and be like, do you know if what I'm trying to
But
say?
I think the general notion is that if there's a disability that you can't reach something, you can't be an actor, you can't do this and that. But that makes it so much more real that you can be anything. No
It just
matter
takes the
what,
stigma away.
Like she can, given the fact that Scarlett can hear, she can hear, she speaks to you. You will, if you don't know or see the actual cochleas, you wouldn't know that Scarlett is deaf.
Yeah.
But the stigma behind it is still, what is she really going to become in life? What if she wants to be an actor? What if she wants to be a singer? And I don't
She
know.
wants to be a singer, my child.
And remember I showed you that thing that Britain's Got Talent, where this girl, she's also got cochleas, and she takes off her shoes mid-performance, or in the beginning of the performance, and she puts it like flat on the stage so that she could feel the vibration, and she starts singing. And singing beautifully.
Yeah.
And the idea is that she's deaf, she can't sing. So there is a stigma. People should be more educated or do a little bit more research to find out what is behind the disability. And is it really a disability?
Yeah. So my thing, sorry Lee, you can put in your 10
it's
cents
cool.
now, is that this is the kind of superhero I want to see.
Yes.
Someone that's actually making a change.
Yes.
Not your bisexual Superman.
Yeah.
We're making such a big deal that there is finally a bisexual Superman. And to me, okay, there is people that's like, oh, you Christian people, ABC. I put my stance on, there is more important things like this. We did not ask to be deaf. We did not ask to be paralyzed. We did not ask to be blind. So many things like that. If you're going to give me superheroes, give me something that matters.
And the thing is, the negative stigma that's around this that has not been addressed because of other things that become more important, right? And the thing is, like, when we're going to start comparing like one disability to the other or one situation to the other, we're not going to get anywhere.
Not going to get anywhere.
But I watched Lauren Ridloff, the actress. The first time I saw her was in the series. What's the series? Amsterdam. It's a medical drama. So the first time I watched it, yeah. So the episode that she was in is basically an episode where she is older now. She gets cochlear implants when she's a lot older, but it's so frustrating for her because she's never worn cochlears before. She's used to the silence. She's used to being completely deaf
I remember.
and signing. So when she gets the cochlears, her whole life is basically turned upside down. And just the fact that she showed a reality. What I loved about that is that they cast somebody
Who is
actually deaf.
Yeah.
That is what I loved about it. And the fact that Marvel is doing the same thing now. As an actress myself, I don't have a problem with casting anybody else. Like, for instance, if you can sign, let's say, for instance, there isn't an actress. But my thing is this, for too long, Hollywood has been suppressing people of this, people
actually
like
have
Lauren
the
Ridloff.
condition.
You don't see her that
can
often. The
act.
fact now that she's in Marvel is a big thing. She's probably a brilliant actress from what I saw in Amsterdam, which she is. But because of the fact that it's like, yeah, no, I don't think she'll be able, because the idea is, how will she be able to listen to the director? Stupid things like that they take into consideration, and they don't consider her lived experience. Who better to play a deaf superhero than somebody who is deaf, who identifies with deafness? I don't, like I said, yeah, I don't mind if there was a hearing actress that was good for the role that can sign, but I'm
if
saying the
there is there
authenticity.
Yeah, I mean, there is someone who is deaf, who can act, and
Yes.
who wants, that's their passion, that's
Yes.
their dream that they want to live. Then why not use that person?
Yeah.
If there's absolutely nobody, then fine, use someone who's an actress
Yes.
that can hear but can sign and do that. I mean,
Yes.
that's what the acting world is about.
Yeah.
But why not be all inclusive? Aren't we about in a world of inclusivity?
And I'm just gonna say, the fact that she's a woman of color makes it even more
And
amazing
the fact
for
that
me.
in the actual Marvel comic, her role is played by a male.
Yes.
So they flipped the whole thing in terms of the fact that
Yes.
it was supposed to be a male actor,
Yes.
number one,
Yes.
and they chose a female.
Yes, and the fact, like, for instance, I even look at the texture of her hair. They didn't put a weave on her. You know, they didn't put a wig on that is maybe like completely, you know how the Marvel superheroes are generally, the women have this long flowing hair. Like, she can be in a L'Oreal advert now or whatever the case may be. I love that they have her in her most authentic self. She doesn't even look like she's got makeup on, but there again, the fact that they got this character so right is what I'm happy
I
about.
can't wait to watch it.
Because
I'm sure
my-
it's going to be Scarlett's favorite because we watched the same movie 30 times before we can watch a new movie.
Because
and
my-
I am quite frankly tired of Matilda.
Oh my gosh. And my thing is this, like I always say, and I will always say this, representation is so important. And it's about time that we see this on our big screens, that we see it. Because I was at the point where it's like, when I get children, if they don't have anything for my kids, I'm gonna create my own, and my kids will only watch my content. Because at this point in time, I'm sick and tired of my kids, of other images being perpetuated onto our kids, and then our kids feel like less than. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it. You know, I say maybe Scarlett other kids will think Scarlett has superpowers as well, which is cool for me.
Yes.
Okay, so next up, we have, it's such an ironic topic, but I don't want us to concentrate on the celebrity herself.
Yes.
But just let's use it as an example and just speak about the topic in general. Lee, you single, nah? So you will add your 10 cents for your singleness, and then we will, from our perspective,
Am I
give it as-
really?
Are you really? Okay, well, there's no ring on the finger yet, unless it's see-through and I'm just
There's a
missing
tattoo.
it there.
Yeah, there's a tattoo.
Okay, so J-Lo. It's ironic that she stars in the new movie, Marry Me. So this movie is based
How
on...
often has she heard that?
Is it really ironic?
So this movie is based on her and her fiance, and they're supposed to get married and have this glam wedding, and she decides to marry a random guy in the audience.
Wow.
Is this not J-Lo's life?
Yo, I mean, the casting was spot on. Once again, you know, somebody with a lived experience would be able to probably identify better with that lifestyle.
They wrote the
But
script with her in mind.
definitely.
But not to speak bad on her. We're still all women, right? But we want to speak on the topic on what do you think the problem or the issue is when somebody at this age, or even at younger, like, you know, age is nothing, it's your experiences that matter. How do I put this? How you do not settle down. What do you think? Is it a mental side of not wanting to settle down? Or is it the question we had last week, I'm in marriage, a happy marriage, but I miss my recklessness.
You know, I'm not too sure what. Once again, I'm going back to this Hollywood fantasy. For me, Hollywood, apart from it being an actual physical geographical location, is the know all and be all of film and television, right? So this Hollywood ideology has transcended from being fictional to reality. So that's the reason why something like this fictional storyline can be quite ironically relevant to J-Lo's life, because in an utopian society, that is what she does. She was married a couple of times. She got divorced. She has children out of the marriage. Then she was now recently engaged. Now she's back with her ex, Ben Affleck. From then, I do not know if she's still with him, and they will lovey-dovey again. But it reminds me of a character in People, where they jump from one relationship to the next. And what you will normally find in those cases from a psychological point of view is that there's always an underlying issue behind it. And this fictional reality is then projected onto society, and people want to live this lifestyle because of the glitz and the glam. I mean, look at that dress. Anybody would. So they make the set, they make the costumes, they make the lights and the camera and the action seem so amazing. And sometimes I feel like even J-Lo herself is no longer caught. She's caught up in this fictional world, and she's no longer in touch with reality. And what they do is they paint it as not it's okay to have an open relationship, it's okay to, but somebody always gets hurt in the interim, and a lot of the times it's the person herself that is hurt. So that's my opinion on that story.
A recap on last week. I mean, I said it last week, and I think it really applies in this situation as well. Is that you need to go back and find out what is the root cause of that. Where does it stem from? I mean, they asked Elizabeth Taylor, why she got married so many times, and she said, "I love the feeling of falling in love." So I think there's a sense of you want the whole wedding. The other day I asked her if we can get married again, because you like the jitters, you like that,
yes.
You like the whole vibe and hype about it.
Oh,
But
you had a new idea. I wanted that.
I wanted
instead.
you know what? I didn't want that dress actually. I wanted a new dress. So let's get married again.
This dress is not in fashion anymore. I'd actually like to see how this dress looks on me.
I need a new photo shoot. But I have to ask to go back and ask what happened in her childhood, when in her teenage years, how present was her father, all these questions. I think it really does come into play, because what I find, and a lot of the couples that me and Xavier have counseled, their childhood comes into play. It comes in when there's an argument and they have to come back to try and resolve it. It really stems from something that happened when they were 5, 6, or 7 years old, which is in the foundation stages. So we don't know her history. We know that she had a long-term, her first boyfriend she dated for 10 years when she was coming up into stardom. And then, she left him, and then she married a waiter. When she now hit it, when she started making it now, then she married the waiter. They were married for less than a year. So then you ask, what is she looking for? What is she going for? You really have to go back and see what is the psychological thing behind it, because she's a beautiful woman.
Definitely.
She's an amazing woman.
Definitely.
She's talented. She's got the figure. She's pretty. She's everything.
She's moneyed.
Basically, exactly. But then also, do you think that there is some people that is looking to play mom, if that makes sense? That when a guy is a bit too, like, I think of Beyonce was quite good. I don't know their life at home.
Yeah.
We don't, what they showed. He was closer to her age. He was a businessman. He was these kind of things. But after being with so many young men in her life, and the fact that she's married, do you also think that plays a role in relationships? Not necessarily just her, but in relationships as a whole, where a woman is used to being the one that's maybe
alpha.
brings the bread at the table at home, and now
for
he's
shots.
looking to do that in a relationship.
But you also have to remember that when she was married to Mark, they were peers.
Mm-hmm.
So he had already made it by the time she worked on a few projects with him in the past. So he was already moneyed before she was there. So and she stayed in that relationship for 7 years, and she got children from that. So there was obviously a connection, maybe a past connection that just was rekindled or something like that. But I do think there is an element of I'm the alpha female, because if you look at a track record, it's most people are younger, and then when you come, wasn't he a billionaire or something?
Yeah.
So now you come, and that means this man is alpha. Extreme alpha. If he's running in the league of billions, I mean, he's got companies and stuff like that. So now you have that,
And he's famous.
yeah. So now you have that. Who's more famous? I'm just saying. These are elements I'm just throwing out.
Yeah.
There. Who's more famous? Who calls the shots? And then also, I always say that there's always two sides to the story. You don't know what the other person was doing in the relationship either.
That's the
There's
truth.
always two sides to the story.
I was watching this one thing where a criminologist speaks about some of his most serious, some of his cases with regards to serial killers, where he basically helps the FBI to find out where the victims' bodies are and whatever. And what he was saying is, he mentioned something very interesting that I think also you could obviously she's not a serial killer, but she is a serial marriager or serial dater or whatever the case may be, because at this point that is what it is. And because it's almost as if these relationships are just so easily dispensable. And so what happens is that they create this fantasy in their minds, which is a lot of the times, in fact, almost 90% or more of serial killing starts with sexual fantasies. So it starts there. And I mean, this is also, it must be sexually driven that she is, which a lot of people don't want to speak about, because how dare we speak about her sex life? But the fact of the matter is, it's relationships. There's going to be sex life there involved anyway.
And
so they get
comparing too.
Exactly. So what they do is they create this fantasies in their heads, and a lot of the times it's beta males that's trying to be alpha males. In her case, you were speaking about the alpha beta, that whole vibe. And so anyway, so they try to be alphas, and what they do is they try to overpower their victims, which is most of the time women, and then they obviously they sexually hurt these women and so forth, and then they kill the woman. But what they said is, which is something very interesting, what he said is that oftentimes the kill is not as exciting as the build up towards it. And like you were saying, maybe it's the fantasy of falling in love again, the build up to the marriage, the build up to the wedding. And in this case, maybe it's that. Maybe it's not, she's not getting a kick out of it like she did the first time. And that's the reason why, and not just her, people in general in relationships, the build up to getting into a relationship is more exciting than actually being in the relationship. And you said it, Vance, I remember the first time, I will never forget these words that you say. It's not about the wedding. It's about the marriage. If you base your fantasy on a wedding, don't get married.
Otherwise, you have to get a wedding every other day just to sort of get that
because
rush
after
going,
the day you
hit
go
the next
home
high.
and you go to your room and the day was finished. The money is finished. Everything is.
And guess what?
Now marriage starts.
You struck with reality. You have to sit with this guy. Given the fact that their model of relationships is different from what we live by.
Yes.
There's certain things we just don't do before marriage, and then when marriage hits, now you're stuck with reality, and we really in that. Oh, this is it. This is where I'm gonna be. Whereas there's an option to out. I don't need to
But I was
stick
about
around.
to say this now. I was about to say, don't you think this... Guys, we make everything a trend. If a celebrity...
It's trending.
Let's be honest. If a celebrity that you love is pregnant today, you start seeing... You kind of know who likes that celebrity, because on your Instagram, you start seeing the same pregnancy shoots.
Yeah.
And you start asking, did this person fall pregnant because their idol
Is pregnant.
I feel the same way with marriage. When one person gets divorced, you kind of see the ripple effect.
Yeah.
She did it, so it's okay if I can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then another person gets married, and you start seeing the marriage trend kind of a thing. Yes, we get to an age where all your friends do get married. You get to the age where all your friends do have babies. But I'm starting to notice that the more celebrities do something, the more we try so hard on our Instagram to be influencers, that
mimic
it's a
whatever
ripple
they do.
effect, that what this does happens, people actually do it in their marriages.
Yeah.
And I think that's the dangerous part of it. I understand what happens in your marriage, but we need to set a proper example so that it doesn't come to play what happens in your marriage.
Yeah.
Because, sorry, that also becomes we want to do the whole sisterhood thing, but when you faced with problems, that's your marriage. I don't have a say.
There's no sisterhood and
That's
problems,
so true.
marriage problems, because you have to sit it out yourself. You have to sort it out with this person yourself.
Your sisters are not married to your spouse.
No, but I'm saying what
So-
happens is we all jump on the woman empowerment,
Yes,
marriage, or this.
Yes.
We sisters. But when something happens, we all.
and
the-
your sisters are no longer there.
Yeah, and the other trouble is that when you look at these people on social media, because there's celebrities, there's obviously fans and everything involved there, but everything is glorified. Everything
Yes.
is
It's
glamorized.
the glitz and glam is what you
And
see.
What you don't see is that, and this is what we said last week, and I say that again, that guys, you are an individual. Make a decision for where you are in your life.
Yes.
And know that you can do anything in this life, but know everything comes with a consequence.
Definitely.
I mean, if
Whether
you-
good or bad.
whether good or bad, there is a consequence that you have to deal with, and you need to weigh up your options before the time. Are you willing to? I can get married to anyone. I really can. It's fun. We can plan the wedding. We can go get the dress. It really
Yes.
is. But the consequences, I'm stuck with that man afterwards.
Yo,
And if I feel like,
I-
no, I've got, I can still go out. That's why divorce is there. It's fine. But do you know that statistically it's proven that it's better to lose a spouse in death than it is
In
whether you
divorce.
wanted this person or not.
Yes.
It is a painful. Go speak to people who have been divorced. They have not. You've never heard of a happy divorce. You've never heard of an easy divorce.
No.
I just went in, filled in the papers, and we're okay now.
Somebody got hurt, even if
Somebody-
it wasn't both.
There was therapists involved. There was money involved. There was arguing involved. There was unhappy times involved. It's not a walk in the park.
I mean, just breaking up and not even divorce, just breaking up is hard.
It's hard. And have you ever spoken to somebody that they did the breaking up? Like, they were in this relationship, but they kind of like felt like, oh, I'm not feeling this person, and they did They also feel the pain.
They also feel the pain, yeah.
So true.
Okay, let's move on, Lee. Just recap on the story that's coming up now.
Okay, so it was in a Forbes article posted on January 11th, 2021, but I think it's still relevant to speak about it now because, again, it went silent. So we don't know what's actually happening now that we are in almost November 2021. So a Bill Gates venture, Bill Gates the billionaire, aims to spray dust into the atmosphere to block the sun. What could go wrong? So I'm just going to read an insert from the actual article, just so that you can get context into this thing. So the article in Forbes says that Microsoft's billionaire founder Bill Gates is financially backing the development of a sun-dimming technology that would potentially reflect sunlight out of Earth's atmosphere, triggering a global cooling effect in order to slow down the effects of global warming, according to what the researchers are doing. Now, it says here that widespread research into the efficacy of the solar geoengineering has been stalled for years due to controversy. Opponents believe such science comes with unpredictable risks, including extreme shifts in weather patterns, not dissimilar to warming trends we are already witnessing. So it's just going to escalate the problem more. And what the article, which was quite interesting, is what they read is, so they want to emit, it's called, I'm going to give you the correct scientific name from a layman perspective, the stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment is to emit, to spray non-toxic calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere. So what they're saying is that they're going to send pockets of these CaCO3 air, premium air
Premium air.
premium air into the air Sorry, inside joke. And they're going to emit it. But the thing is that they don't know the effects of it. So it's basically a gamble. It could work, it couldn't work. But they have to do it. There's no other place to experiment except for Earth. So this is what they're saying. So what do you guys think about
I'd
all
rather
these
not.
great
What could go wrong?
scientific ventures?
I mean, if we have to go back into the past and look at how scientific ventures have gone wrong, I'm just cringing at the
Cringing, yeah.
fact that how are we okay with this? How are we even considering this? Like, even if you have to look at, yes, science has done people very, I mean, there's scholar, she's got cochlears.
Yes.
There's really good in science.
Yes.
But if you have to look at people who've gone on certain medications and what to remedy one thing, then they rather have liver problems or they have something else. There's always a side effect to most of these, like a medication, which is what this technically is. If you're going to have dust in the air, that means I need to breathe in that dust.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, like, we are living in a time when COVID is in the air. You know, there's things in the air. There's a third wave.
Can't they make dust that kills COVID?
We ask these questions. No, it can't. You
And
need
I
to be
mean-
vaccinated.
I mean, this was posted this year still. COVID was in 2019.
Sorry, I
so
just
Bill
wanna know-
Gates, the guy that that is a medical fundi now, is also experimenting with the Microsoft Okie is now experimenting with medicine and is experimenting with atmospheric science. That's
But I
what
can't
now
What'd you just
premium air. Awesome. He wants to
My
send
goal,
premium
my goal.
awesome to block out the sun. Oh,
You are going to make my eardrums burst.
Just soften that his headsets
It's a
there.
very passionate topic because we are living in fragile times.
I just want to know now. This man has so many projects. When is his money running out?
He's got so many projects. Could he not work on his marriage as a project? He's worried about all the other things.
I'm just really, I don't know if this is a bit of a side comment but he's involved in a lot of conspiracy theories, like a lot of
He
conspiracy,
is.
right?
And here's another.
You know? So I'm thinking, what is he going at? Like, what is his plan? Because none of us will live forever.
Can I tell you what's going to happen now? This dust, they're going to put a balloon around Africa again.
No, it's not even
The
far-fetched
same
because
way
they
wanna
talk
test
about
with
balloons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The same way they wanted to test the vaccines on Africans, right?
Yeah.
They're always using us to test.
And what they're going to say, it's
guess
because the sun is stronger in Africa.
And guess what? Bill Gates is involved everywhere.
My thing is just what could go wrong. I don't know a lot about gases and
Yes.
science, and unfortunately, I didn't do research on that gas.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. The atmosphere is made up of a lot of gases,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
When one gas mixes with another gas, it could be a bomb.
Then they're going to
Kind of
say
a
it's the
thing.
Big Bang Part 2.
There's always an answer, a press
So,
release that is
I'm
always
just
prepared
saying-
before the time.
I'm just saying that you don't know because you're only willing to test it when it now happens.
Yes. You can only test it in real life. You can't, there's no pre-test. The test is the thing.
It's the
Whether
debut.
it be
it's the-
balloon or whatever. Remember, the same dust in Africa where you say it is so warm, and you go to Greenland / Iceland, since wherever there's different
Temperatures.
temperatures. Not only that, there's different factories. Here, there's a factory using these gases.
Yep.
Here, there's a factory using that gases. I just want to know, is it going to be so safe that when their gas mixes... Sorry, when I use the word gas. When their gas mixes with the next gas, what aroma are we getting?
I feel like Bill
Gastric
Gates. I
problems.
feel like Bill Gates wants to bring Matthew 24 verse 29 earlier on, where it says that immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened. I think that maybe he's a Christian and maybe he wants to. Maybe he also
Like,
doesn't want to be on earth anymore. Maybe he wants Jesus to come fast.
deep down.
So yeah, that's
There's a lot of maybes.
that story.
There is, yeah. Okay. Next up, this is one that's interesting because when I told Lee about this, she was like, She
I'm
was so
excited for the-
confused, right? Is excessive male grooming a turn off?
Excessive. That is the key word. Yes.
Excessive it is. However, we are living in challenging times that borders might be crossed.
Yes.
So for me personally, I like a groomed man. I do like a groomed man. Like I like good smells. I like a good look at the trim. His hair must be trimmed and cut. He must brush his teeth and put on the lotions. But please don't paint the nails. Like there's everything in life. If it's too much, there's a little bit. If you put too much of this or too much of that, it's not a good thing. So for me personally, no.
For me, obviously depends who you asking. Who you
Yes.
asking, right? Is excessive male grooming a turn? For me, that excessive male grooming could cross the border and become
Very
excessive female grooming. Where the male becomes the female.
Hence
and now it's no longer male
The
grooming.
lines, yes.
Now it is
No,
female
but here
grooming.
we're speaking about like, okay, so a man is a man, right? Your husband or your boyfriend or whatever.
And he identifies
Is
as
it-
hetero.
Is it okay that I'm for a pedicure and a manicure? But is it a turn off when they start adding the clear nail polish? Or men is now wearing, like the same way we cover our pimples, men is now concealing their pimples, right?
Yes.
Is this a turn off, or do you see it as, well, we're all looking after each other. We brush our hair. Men is now putting that spray dye on there to give them the perfect trim, which is still their grooming.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking about going the extra mile. We speaking about, is it a turn off if the guy now comes with that trim that when they sleep it's still on the bed? The fact that they are concealing the pimples. Is it a turn off when they start adding the nail polish when they are doing the pedicure and manicures and stuff like that? How far, what are we accepting as, okay, this is grooming, but this is taking it too far where it becomes a turn off?
For me personally, I don't mind the fade.
Because there's men that's doing eyebrows the same way we do in the
that
morning.
for me is too much. That for me.
Oh, you mean
is-
drawing on the eyebrows?
Yeah.
That for me is too
Okay.
much. I don't want to be looking for my pencil. I don't. Also, I don't want to get to my nail polish and then you didn't tell me you used the last. No, I don't. I don't. There's certain things we just don't share. Do I want his hair to look good? There was a time when I was flat ironing Xavier's hair, and I thank God we've passed this phase, because me and my flat iron, we do not get shared. Like, I don't share my flat iron, and but he went through the phase, but that was it. There wasn't extra things like I must do his eyebrows now, I must put nail polish on because it needs to have a bit of a shine. None of that. That is a turn off. But I do want a clean face. Do I want you to cover it up with base or a concealer? No. But use facial products. There's male facial products that you can cleanse it, deep cleanse it. Can we do masks together? Yes, let's do those things. Those are fun things we can do together. But that's where it stays. I'm not going to buy an extra set of lashes because you feel like your lashes isn't popping today.
My problem with this is on a much serious level is already, like you were talking about, the alpha female. Right. Now, when the lines are crossed in a relationship, in a marriage, I'm talking both relationship, like if you are single but dating, and in marriage, when the lines are crossed and people begin to start, the roles get mixed up. Because from a physiological, psychological point of view, men are hunters. It's always been that way since the beginning of time. Men were the hunters. And hunters don't look fancy. They don't put on makeup. The only makeup that they put on is that
That
paint,
wall lines.
the wall makeup, right? So for personally, I won't be able to take my husband seriously or my partner seriously as an alpha if he's going to be standing next to me and applying makeup, because psychologically I'm turned off from him, which means sexually I'm turned off from him, which means that at the
Most
end of the day,
definitely.
what is going to happen? We're going to start fighting. We're going to start fighting not necessarily about this, because this is going to be the underlying issue. We're going to start fighting about silly things, and before you know it, it ends up in divorce.
For me personally, I don't mind that I'll be sharing maybe my day cream and night cream and my toner and
Yeah,
whatever.
where does it go too far?
You know, for that, I don't mind sharing that because I want him to look good next to me. I don't want one of us to look like the Oma or the, you know, did you marry your son, or is this your son, or something like that. You know, I don't want that. So that's the type of thing that I don't mind. But before we go on, let me just bring in our comments. We've got 2 comments here. We've got Eloise Gobo who says, well said, Evangelique, and then going forward, and I think that has to do with the fact that we were speaking about the deaf superhero. And then also Eloise says, biblically it's likened unto the Tower of Babel, playing God never ends well, and that's with the Bill Gates topic. And I am really enjoying the GAB Fest, guys. Thanks for
Thank
watching.
you so much.
So, okay, for me personally, I think we also need to, as much as I'm not taking it like in terms of marriage now or my boyfriend, I'm taking it in standards.
Yeah.
We should also, the same way women feel pressure to look like J-Lo, the same way we feel pressure to look as pretty as Shay Mitchell, for example, those kind of things. We do try this makeup trend because this influencer had that makeup. We do try this bow because it's in now in the Asian series.
Yeah.
You do try all those things. As women today, they are fantasizing a certain kind of man.
Yes.
Keeping in mind that those men are make up for movies, but they also make up in their everyday lives, right? What's that guy on Tyler Perry's show, the one with the thick eyebrows?
I don't know.
He's always the guy that every girl likes in Tyler Perry's movies. That man wears foundation on a day-to-day basis, right? He does his eyebrows on a day-to-day basis. He wears lip tint.
Yes.
People watching the K series,
Yeah.
you intrigued by the Korean men, the Asian men. That's more makeup than I wear.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. That's what I'm saying. So I feel it goes both ways.
Yes.
If we want our men to respect our natural beauty, I think we should also not fantasize. I'm not saying we do fantasize, but I feel like it also puts a level of pressure on a man to start looking
A
the
certain
same way that your celebrities look.
Yeah.
So for me personally, it's more about the effort they put in the morning. Look decent. I don't want a man with greasy fingers and dirty nails and stuff like that. So for me, the grooming aspect isn't really for me personally, not to live up to a celebrity
Yes.
or whatnot. Yes, when we look at the movies like, oh, he's nice. Who was it that we were raving about the
But
other day? Sorry, Khago. That we were raving about the other day. Nico, I call him Nico's pistachio. What's his-
Oh,
from the
yes.
Seven Line, right?
The George from Seven the Line.
Yeah, so like that's like, oh, he's a good looking guy, but given that he might not be wearing makeup or whatnot, it's not that you're looking for that type of person, but when you are at home, my husband expects me to dress when he says, oh, you
But
look nice
this also
today.
speaking to the younger, because this is
Yeah.
more with the younger generation, right? Before you married, before you're in a relationship. So you don't know that those blemishes are being covered. But the same way we have insecurities, is it wrong to say a man can't cover up his insecurities? When your hair, you put in extensions, like when I put in extensions, because I'm at the point where I hate my hair so much.
Yeah.
But now a man has a fair bliss and puts on that thing.
Oh, he must put on his unit.
No,
He must put on his
That's what
unit.
I'm saying.
Yes, but that's the
I'm
reason
for
why
the
I said,
unit.
that's the reason why I said in the beginning, it depends on how you define excessive male
Yes,
grooming, and
okay.
it also depends on it depends on who you asking.
And,
If
yeah.
you're asking me, no to excessive grooming. If you're
Excessive
asking
being the
another,
key word.
excessive. If you're asking,
Excessive being the key word.
yeah,
But for me, I mean, the unit. We've watched. Xavier's been watching this. He went onto a binge with watching,
The
men
unit.
applying the unit, and it really makes them look younger. It doesn't make them look over-groomed.
yes,
It just makes them
But
look.
that's a next level grooming that doesn't look as bad as where concealer is just to hide the dark circles. But because
No, I
the
can't-
two levels, but that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
I can't deal with concealer though, but I can do with
But
unit.
I'm just
Connected,
trying
yeah.
to say in terms of the that unit
I don't
is
mind
much
if my,
more excessive.
I don't mind if my guy is doing BB cream and he's doing those kinds of things, but if he's gonna start applying eyeliner
Yeah,
and he's
but
gonna start
remember,
applying
we're now not
mascara and he's
saying
gonna
makeup.
fill in his
We're saying
eyebrows,
grooming.
because most men already have good eyebrows.
I haven't met a man with no eyebrows. I mean, Xavier raves about the fact that, yeah, our differences in eyebrows. Just leave it there. At least our kids got the better half. But the keyword there remains excessive.
Okay,
Yes.
Anks, go ahead. Anytime.
Wait, we
This is your topic, my darling. We open. Okay, so guys, COVID has opened up a lot of things for.
sorry.
It's not open, but we are at a level because of elections, right?
Yes.
We are at a level of most things are open. And Anka really wants to talk about the people. There's a lot of people that want everything to be open. But we're at the point where there's people with anxiety that everything is open.
So this topic really was latched onto last week's topic of, our brains
Yes.
are not built. So it was latched onto that. But we are still in, my question is this. Are we okay that anxiety is now just gone away because things are starting to open up? I mean, the rest of the world's open. It's just us here in the cave generation and cave country that hasn't been opened up. But has our anxiety really sort of faded or died down? And my personal opinion is no. However, what is your opinion?
The anxiety aspect of it.
Yes. Are we okay now? Is there no more anxiety? Don't we have reason to be anxious
I think it
anymore?
goes both ways, honestly, because whether you like it or not with conspiracy theories or whatever, there is a percentage that does not believe in COVID, and there is a percentage that does believe in COVID, right? So I feel like the ones that do not believe in COVID is all okay, let's go back to life. But there's certain things that maybe they don't have the job now, or maybe they're getting paid less, or maybe now they got used to working from home, going back to the office, could also cause not anxiety on the level of I'm going to get COVID, but at the level of this became normal for me to work in pajamas.
Yeah, now I have to
readjust. Then you get the level that is still so scared of COVID that now you're forcing me to go back to work, or you're forcing me to go back out. So I think it goes both ways in terms of it's just your anxiety stems from a different route, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Like you were saying, it's going to be different for different people. But for me, when we talk about mental illness, or we talk about being mentally unwell, let me put it that way, and anxiety specifically in the climate of COVID-19, a global pandemic, I think that anxiety has taken on a whole new meaning. People have turned it into something very different to what for instance, being clinically diagnosed with anxiety is. And anxiety is not necessarily a clinical condition. Anxiety is feeling anxious. That is where it comes from. But I think that people have borderlined the clinical anxiety at the moment, where you are paranoid constantly. And I think that has come because our systems has not our powers that be has not implemented systems to counteract that. Instead, they have perpetuated it. They've created it and therefore exacerbated it. And I think that it's very, very the reality of the matter is that there's a lot of people who are suffering from anxiety who don't know how to get out of it now. That it's become debilitating, where they don't want to leave the house. They're constantly in a state of fear. And COVID is not the only one that is not the only thing that makes it this way, because it has created fear in terms of people losing losing jobs, losing houses, the human trafficking thing, women
There's
being
a lot
fearful.
going
So
on at
can you
once.
imagine that there's this this is what we look like.
Yeah.
We're rocking back and forth.
And besides that, I think the biggest thing for me personally that feeds anxiety is the information we feed our minds, the information we allow.
What do you allow yourself to open up to?
Yeah. And I mean, I know people that sit whole day and watch news.
Yes.
The whole day. And every day is something different that just increases the anxiety,
Yes.
then the numbers go up, then this. And
I
I
was
mean,
the person that watched news the whole day when it was that case about the cop.
you see, like, and it really it sinks in. And
Yes.
so and it's not just COVID, like you're saying, there's the cop case, there's a lot of other things, there's this, the Timbisa 10, there's child trafficking, there's so many things that it constantly goes, and I'm extremely paranoid. Am I anxious? I try to curb my anxiety by knowing that making sure my kids are at a good school.
But here's one thing, sorry to jump on what you were saying now. With not only things that's happening around us, but for me personally, how it's changed me was during COVID when everything was closed. For me, I struggled as a woman, a mother, to make sure the kids is always in line, and struggled with the making sure there's cooking and the cleaning. That it had actually affected me in a way that I'm constantly negative towards it. That even though the kids are at school, when they come back, anything it triggers me because of the period that you were in my face 24/7 and how I was struggling to adapt to that. That it now called such an effect that now later on I am honestly struggling to just find my peace. I get triggered really, really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And I think something as simple as that's not really your everyday things, but what became normal, how did it affect your emotions, your thinking, your mindset going forward? Those kind of things is also something you need to look at.
And the reality of the matter is we're not all the same. A lot of people will say, I mean, personally for me, I enjoyed the lockdown because yes, there were times when I was overstressed because it came too much, but in comparison to the rest of the time, I enjoyed it because it bettered my relationship with my husband. It made me navigate how I can, because I don't cook. I had to cook. I was anxious the first week and I had to navigate. So it worked for me. But the reality of the matter is we're not all built the same. We don't have the same emotions. We don't have the same thresholds.
And not also the same situations. Like
Situations,
you with your husband together during lockdown, as we with some families, the husband is now working overtime. And
so there are different factors for everyone. However, for me personally, I mean, the whole anxiety around COVID and all of that, you guys know my stance of COVID. We've all had COVID. We've gone through it. I mean, I'm still struggling with my smell sensors and stuff like that. But for me, it's like, we've been through this now. I lost my father during COVID, but does it make me anxious? No, because I still need to be around people. I still
need to live.
I still need to live. I mean, I might as well be dead if I'm just at home sitting like this, I need to go on. I need to live. And for me, that was a lesson. Live now, live today, because me being anxious about it, me being overthinking it, then I might as well just leave this earth because I'm not enjoying life.
Good one. Okay, let's just jump to our advice section and then we're out of here. Yeah. So quickly, somebody asked, how do you come out of a dark place? And I felt sorry because this person asked last week as well.
Yes.
And so they really want to know, how do you come out of a dark place?
For me, having been in dark places a lot of times, and I'm not just talking like physically being in a dark place, but mentally, psychologically being in a dark place, for me, go back to the root cause of what put you there in the dark place in the first time. Because a lot of the times, if you can pinpoint what put you there in the first place, it's next to the light switch. And that is where you need to navigate your way to, even if you're touching, feeling around to where it is. And it's easier said than done, because that process of finding the root cause of that dark place is a painful process. And different strokes for different folks. Some people have extreme trauma that put them in that dark place. And for me, my advice would be, don't try to get there out of it alone.
Yeah.
Speak to a professional, because if you're gonna try to get out of it alone and you're already in the dark place, you might just get deeper into it and you might just get stuck there. Remember, the dark place is not a permanent place. Darkness is just the absence of light, which means that it doesn't exist by its own. It exists because there's no light. So for me, I would say find somebody, especially if it's an extremely traumatic thing to do, find somebody that can help you out of it, a professional. Maybe it could be your church
I was about
pastor.
to say now, if you can't afford a professional,
Yes.
that's why it's also so important to be connected to someone in church.
Exactly. Even your family past, if you guys do have at your church or at your place of worship, if you have a department that focuses on mental health and focuses on family issues, get in touch with that people as soon as possible. Don't delay it anymore, because I know being in a dark place, you don't even want to ask for help. You just want to be in that place rocking back and forth, and you don't want to get out of it. My personal story is that I constantly go, and I'm grateful for the fact that I grew up in a faith household where my crutch was literally the word of God and praying. For me, I didn't have the luxury of money to go and see a psychologist, to see a psychiatrist, to see a therapist. But fortunately for me, I had supportive family members, and I had my foundation of faith, and that's what helped me to get out of that dark place.
And a lot of the times you do have these people around you, but you don't want to specifically speak to them because you feel like their family, they know everything and all of that. For me personally, I have a friend who has gone through 3 times worse than what same scenario, but just 3 times more over than I did. And she won't hound on me because I'm not that type of person. However, she's in the background, and we'll
Connect.
We'll connect now
But
and
on
then.
a level
Yeah.
of...
So the importance here is don't think it's okay to do it alone. It's that's where he wants you, in terms of that's where that anxiety wants to keep you, because if you're alone and you're not telling anyone, the isolation keeps that going. So yes, do connect with someone trustworthy who has sound and positive input.
Yeah, that's not going to make it sound worse. They're not adding fuel to the fire and just leaving you
And
there.
also take a break from social media.
That is a thing. Social media is a
Take
thing.
a break from social media.
For me, I would also say that the people around you does make a big difference, and faith does make a big difference, and your prayer does make a big difference. But for me also, I feel like how you said, when you know what the core is that puts you in that dark place, what can you do to get yourself out of that place? What is the steps you're taking forward? Because if you just pray and you just read your word, but you still go and lay on your couch right after that in your pity party, you're still not going to get out of that dark place.
Yes.
So for me personally, like you said with your thing, is I always get to the point where I did study, and it just turned out that afterwards I found out that my qualification is not accredited, which puts you in a place of now you feel less of a person. Then you look at the fact that you look at the job. The job is not even in the field that you studied. You just took something to get money.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point of COVID, for example, when I did find something that I was happy about, everything closed down. And certain things like that, it just builds up. And now I say, like with my kids, how I'm mentally struggling to get past a certain point. And for me, say what you want to, I love Mrs. South Africa changed my life in terms of pageants.
Yes.
It gave me an opportunity to be around women that don't even know what my surname is. It gave me an opportunity to be around women that don't know who my parents is. They don't know my financial background. They don't know what car I drive. So it gives this open platform.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to get to a point where these are so many empowering people. This one has a business. That one has NPO, that one as this designer, this, that, and it kind of puts you
and a
in
master's
a
and a
place
doctorate
to get you a point to work. How can I get to that stage?
Yes.
And it touches on everything that is my insecurities, but you're surrounded with women that's lifting you up. Because I always say I'm all for pageants. I'm not for the organizations, but I'm for the woman that has entered altogether, because it is I don't like to use that sisterhood term they use.
It's
but you
empowering.
do become friends with so many people.
network, yeah.
You network, but people that help you on an intellectual and an emotional platform. And for me, I find that if you can find people around you like that as well,
Yeah.
that takes you now past your faith and past your own realization, but to get around people that can now like kind of push you off the cliff, what you're going to do about it. That is also one thing for me. Thank you so much for joining us. We did go over time today, but we're excited that people was excited for our show. Thank you so much to Joan for giving us an opportunity to GAB Fest on Talk with Joan. And can't wait to see you again. Ciao.
Bye.
In the shadows, as I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream.